Greetings. When we last left our travelers, they were on the surface of the planet Sunder, in the Sunder system, right here, as part of the Elzir's alliance. And they had just fled there from Vesper. The entire last set of adventures was them getting from Vesper down to Sunder, where the Vesporan Revolution was trying to confiscate their ship. And they are looking for a patron. They have a payment to make. They're looking to looking for someone to hire them to make payment. And so they went and visited a contact they had been given, named Mark Anderson. And Mark Anderson was a fixer who worked on the dirt side of Sunder. And they were, if you recall, because it's been a while, they were having tea on top of his building overlooking the portion of the city there where Mr. Anderson had his business. And so once they get settled and have their tea, and one of his admins comes up and whispers in his ear, and he goes, yeah, the patrons are here. So, are you ready to meet them? And of course, Thomas and Lars, those are the two characters that are down here trying to secure employment, indicate that they are ready. And in walks two distinguished looking old couple, wearing imperial sort of finery. And I think Thomas would recognize them as, this being a low-grade nobility, right? Knight or count, something of that nature. Welcome to episode 7, The Patrons. So Anderson introduces them as Sir and Lady Sevillian. And they get their tea, have some pleasantries, and immediately, once that is done, Lord Sevillian, starts up, gets down to business. So let me get down to business. We're looking for our granddaughter, young Fonda. Like many of the old imperial families here that settled in Sunder, we sent our children and grandchildren off to a prestigious school nearby in the light system. So we bring that up. Hold on. Let me find that for you. In the light system. This is Billings School. Run by some very, very some of the finest educators in the Sunder province. Now Billings, Lars is like, isn't that place a mess right now? He says, well, it really wasn't. Not until just recently. The school itself was relatively isolated compared to where the fighting was. So Light, on a side note, Light is currently balkanized. It is 3 separate factions are fighting over the planet and the system. And of course, that is the Vesporan Revolution is fighting. The nation of Ravask is the Imperial faction, and the Light Liberty Front is an independent faction that is indeed looking for independence for Light from both Vesper and any Imperial concerns. Yes, the school is deep within the Ravaskan territory, and was actually very quiet, very idyllic. Oh, and the lady Brienne chimes in. Yes, we visited quite a couple times and vetted the place extensively, and really, it was almost an idyllic environment. And they but if you've seen the news, you'll know that has changed, and indeed it has. Right, the front has moved, the battles have moved, and the school was put into danger. As soon as that happened, we Brianne and I and several other families got together and chartered a small liner to make the trip and gather the kids from their school to bring them back. The NTS Amelia. To get all of them off of planet. The Amelia returned 2 days ago. Fonda did not return. I see. So first thing is, does Thomas recognize these folks at all? Because Thomas does have noble background, right? I'm going to give him just a roll with social standing, and his social standing's +1. So we'll give him a roll here. Hold on. Oh, rolling the dice, and it just sits there, and that is not a good sign, by the way. Hello, 7 +1 is 8. I'm going to say he does recognize the name Sevillian. Because again, he was nobility up in a different portion of the Sunder province. And do they recognize him? I'm gonna roll. That's a rougher roll. Maybe something close to 10, 11, 12. No, they don't recognize him. His family never quite made it. When they did, they were, and he doesn't want them to recognize him because, again, they were, for some reason, disgraced. He was a captain, so Lord Sevillian was a captain in the Navy and was mostly assigned to patrol duties, right? 500-ton, 300-ton, 500-ton patrol frigates, anti-pirating operations, things like that. So he had, a decent enough career, but never quite. He never broke into like ships of the line or whatever. It's all small stuff for Sir Lord Sevillian. So just have to ask to be thorough. I'm sure you have. Have you contacted the authorities? Oh, well, of course we have, says Lady Sevillian. Of course we did. But they're useless. Yes, what my lovely wife is trying to say is that we did contact the authorities. We had them go to the ships, right? The ship's manifest, the passenger logs. We had them check cameras at the spaceport, and supposedly from that, and I rolled this ahead of time so I could have this conversation. Supposedly from that, the authorities said she did not leave the ship, and according to the passenger manifest, she never boarded the ship. So we can only assume that she must have met with some mischief and is still on light. Well, sir, do you have reason to believe? Do you have reason to believe she would have met with mischief? Is there? So let me see here. Let's just. I'm gonna roll like Lars's deception to see if he's feeling something. No, he's not feeling anything. Oh, we have deception over here too. Thomas also has it. We'll have no. They both roll a 4. They both roll exactly the same thing. You know. Well, no. Of course not. Fonda was a free spirit, a little bit untamed, but she knew her responsibilities, I assure you. And you know, maybe the wife has just a little bit of a look to her, right? And again, I'll give someone one more. Nope, we have nothing on int, so I'll let them roll a. There you go. Thomas is going to. He notices the lady's, I say discomfort, but maybe she almost scoffs that she knows her responsibilities, right? That's sort of what he picks up on. Does anyone know how well do these folks know the situation? None of them have any skills which give me a lot of what do you want to say? Any indication that they know any of the situation? I'm going to let maybe Thomas roll education. He gets a 9 total. Well, could you give us any assistance? So if we go to Light, go to the school even, should we be looking at any, does she have any friends that she wrote home about? Did she have any boyfriends? Did she join any groups or, right? Did she have a job? That kind of thing. And let's see here. I'm going to roll a D12. I'm going to say, because they blew their deception perception, right? He knows the lady's uncomfortable, but I think Thomas is a little bit too, he doesn't want to just blatantly come out and ask about it, because I think he'd be worried that the civilians would take that almost as an affront. So I'm going to say on a 10, 11, or 12, the lady sort of comes, Brianna Sevillian comes with a tiny bit more information and is a little bit more forthcoming. No, she's quiet. The husband, the grandfather looks over. She decides better of it. No, I mean, she was sort of private about her private life at school, and so we didn't know that much. She will throw in, you know, ever since her parents died, she had become somewhat withdrawn from us. Doesn't give a lot of information, though. So Thomas continues, since he's probably leading this conversation, he has the most sort of etiquette with the nobles. So, sir, if we were to take this case, we would probably be heading for Light straight away, which is in Vesporan space, and they are absolutely. It's a bit of a risk to be traveling into a known war zone with an independent ship. Yes, you want to know what the offer is. I understand. I'm a man of business myself. It's like, we're willing to offer. Our granddaughter's very dear to us. And indeed, I think Thomas might know. Yeah, we'll give him an education role or a social standing role. She might be the only heir to whatever they have, right? Whatever business he's in. What business is he in now? Let's just say that he's in the oil business, essentially, the petrochemical business. So a lot of these dredgers and these sand rigs that are here digging up old fossil fuels, that's what he's into. And is the guys are reasonably wealthy. So he's like, she's very dear to us. We're willing to offer a 50,000 credit advance to sweeten the deal and help with any expenses that you might incur. But expenses will be paid. Yes. But after the fact, you submit a report, and we will work out we'll work out the reimbursement. But 50,000 advance, 80,000 to get credible evidence of her whereabouts. And then the lady chimes in, but we really want her home. Yes. And 120,000 credits more if you can return her home. Now, as to flying into Vesporan space, I do still have a couple contacts here in the starport, and my name's not insignificant in the Alzir Sundaran government. If you're going to be here a couple days, I could make a few calls and get your transponder updated such that you would be flagged under the auspices of Sunder. So what that would mean, frankly, so if you were flying, so there's still an NTS, so there's still an independent trade ship done, which means essentially, really, what that means is they're an independent merchant flagged really under the Empire, the old Empire, right? The Vesporans have reflagged their ships to VRN, the Vesporan Revolutionary Navy, but very few other polities have reflagged their ships. But if they can add a little code to the transponder which indicates they're flying under the auspices of Sunder. What that means is that, look, these guys are still independents. They're acting on their own. And yes, if they're doing something egregious or illegal, that's on them. But otherwise, don't dink with them because it would be an issue. Now, that's not going to let them do anything particularly special. What it might do is it might make the Vesporans think twice before trying to commandeer this ship. Because the Vesporan Revolution wants to recruit Three Sisters. They want to recruit Alzirs and Sunder, and they want to recruit some of these independents that are sort of floating around them, Callus, Buther, Enthel, and so on, to join the Vesporan Revolution, in the hopes that they can then put up some front against obvious, at some point, imperial aggression. So going into light and then being like, okay, it's unlikely that the Vesporans would say, just come on and say, yep, your ship's part of the VRN now. They probably wouldn't do that because that would theoretically be causing a little bit of a diplomatic incident. So that's not a bad deal. That's actually a very, very good deal. What I need to do is I need to make a spreadsheet of our finances, which I have a note card, which isn't enough. So I will do that. I'll make a spreadsheet of our finances here in a bit. We have 121,000 and some odd 500 credits, 475. minus 100. We have 375. So 121, 375. Our bill is about 125. Plus 50. So 50 is going to get us up to 171. So that's going to let us pay off our mortgage, which is nice. And that's just the advance. Now, light is close. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4-day trip. So that's a nice trip. So that's only going to take 8 days there and back. Probably, though, you have to consider at least a week's worth of putzing around and trying to ask around, trying to find this girl. So it's probably about a 15-day total trip there and back, hopefully. They could also buy some stuff. Remember, they still have a good deal on petrochemicals. 7,000 credits per. And they can't quite fill their hold with the amount they're going to have left over, which sort of sucks. But you know what? I'll tell you what we'll do. So I'm going to say that Thomas says we will absolutely consider, we'll go back to our other crew members, and we will absolutely, we will consider your offer favorably, since we see how important it is for you to for you to know the whereabouts of your granddaughter. I would ask one last thing to sweeten the deal, though. Since we're heading to light, we're going to be probably posing as traders, and and probably trying to make a little bit of extra money on the side. Is it possible that you could front or lend us we will borrow against the future fee, so that we can fill our hold with petrochemicals, since we have a good deal? So for instance, they would need 24, they have 24-ish tons. So that's 100 and what? 24 tons is 140,000 plus 28, 168,000. So it literally would cost them something like 168K. Right? Let's get calculator out just to make sure. So it's 7,000 times 24 tons or thereabouts. Yeah, it's 168,000 credits so they won't have that. So he's essentially asking to borrow 168,000 credits, minus whatever. Yeah, 23.25. I'm going to let him make a persuade check on that. It's about the same. Six, 7, persuade is 1, give him social standing, 8. So literally what they would get is 50K. So they would have 171K, of which they would have to pay most of it, of course, to get that loan. And then they would have essentially 168,000 credits of petrochemicals that they would be on the hook for. So if they didn't sell them or those things got confiscated, they would be in the whole 168K. So this could end up losing. This could end up ruining them. They could succeed at this mission and still end up behind if they don't make good on this sale. He's going to agree. He will agree, a little bit reluctantly. He'll agree. But, I mean, he's a rich guy. Rich guys will do this to you. 168,000 times 0.05. He's going to charge them 5% interest. So they will owe plus 168, 123. So they will borrow 176.4. So they get plus 50K. So that gives them 171,375. Subtracting their mortgage, which is about 125. 650. So they have 46,000 left. And they have borrowed 176,000 from Sir Drennan Sevillian. Now, they haven't taken the job, but I'm gonna fast forward. I'm gonna say, sure, we're right. I mean, what else? You know, I don't think the group has any specific problems doing it, especially getting flagged under the auspice of Sunder will help them travel through Vespor in space, because that will stay. They will keep that flagging, and that's nice because then they can travel through Vespor in space without necessarily having to hide every single place they go. So I'm going to say with that, the deal is struck. Let me write real quick here. So there we go. So we met the patrons. So it's going to take 2 days to get, the ship, not refit, but reflagged. And I think that the group is going to, so a couple folks have to do, so Thomas probably has to go and broker this deal, right, with the petrochemicals to buy the 24 tons of petrochemicals. Group buys 24 tons of, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to round the cargo space up. I know that it gives them effectively an extra 3/4 of a ton. It's just easier than, whatever, right? At 7K a piece. So not terrible. Not terrible. Now, theoretically, that should sell there probably for something like 10K, but we might get lucky. Who knows, right? And you might end up with a little bit more cash there. Like, you might make good cash. That's the thing. Filling your hold is good practice if you have the money to start. The problem is these guys never had the seed money. They always had like 20,000, 50,000 or something. And that's great if you can buy a specialized cargo that's 50K and electronic chips or whatever and make your 20 or 30%. What they really need to do is fill the hold up with as much as they possibly can. And if they could make, say, 10K a ton, and that's $250,000 or thereabouts, done. That's a good deal. They have made their payment. Or, I mean, how about this? They will make their payment. They could probably do that at a Galbank kiosk and then delay it, kind of thing. So payment made. Day 136. They have 15 days left. So 15 days left. That would be day 151. Right, 151. Yeah, day 151. Which means they have until to pay again. So I'm doing 40-day periods, which is ridiculous. That's probably a little too much. Should probably figure out how to do like I should probably do 30-day periods. I hate the 28 days scene because it's just not a round number. It's, But that's fine. We can be light and airy on the money situation. So I think in that 2 days, I do think as Thomas is doing the work of getting the cargo bought, I think the rest of them will go and just ask around. Like they'll get the passenger manifest, right, and maybe see if there's anyone they can contact or call from that group. Now this is not going to be like, they might not be able to do so, but they don't have a ton of like amazing skills for it either. They're not really investigators, these guys. they're technicians, but that's fine. Oh, Parker's doing the broker, so I'll tell you what, we'll let Thomas go and do the talking. Parker will be the broker for this deal. That'll be easy. So he's going to be busy. Thomas is going to make a few phone calls and see if he can't, using persuasion, get a meetup in the day. He doesn't have a lot of time. 5, 6, 7. I don't think so. So these are all fairly rich folk, right? They don't want strangers, right? So I think they end up calling a few of these folks. None of them were very close or fond of the Sevillians, and so they cannot get a meetup with one of their kids or whatever. And these are all college age kids. These aren't like 10-year-olds or whatever. So I think they're going to have to sort of go in blind, which probably means they're going to have to go to the school or around the school, which may or may not be dangerous in and of itself, right? So I think for now, just trying to get back into this game, so I'm gonna slow play it a little bit. So they took the job. They are getting the cargo loaded. They do not have much to go on, unfortunately, and are probably going to fly into Light and going to try to locate the school, try to catch up on local news, as it were, and see if they can't catch. There has to be, unless the school was entirely evacuated, there had to be teachers, there had to be administrators, like someone's there that can hopefully shed some light on the life of young Fonda Sevillian. But that is where we're going to call it tonight. Our group is ready to go. Next week, next episode, they're going to go, take off, fly there, get into the investigation. I'll write up some random bits and charts to go with that. And we're going to go see, there's two things. If we can sell our goods, make a little cash, and then find the young granddaughter. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I will talk to all of you later on.